Hello everyone and welcome. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Harley Quinn Season 5, Episode 3. So this one's called Floronic Man, which is a character in the DC universe who obviously is the doctor from that kind of causes Pamela to turn into Poison Ivy, which then she tries to get her revenge on, and then he becomes Floronic Man. So the whole episode, just so you know, is her being her trying to deal with Floronic Man. We'll go with the quick side story really quick with Clayface because Clayface is back. He's trying to build up his popularity as a with his one man show in Metropolis, and it's not going well. He does a show and he waits for the Daily Planet to print up the greatest review ever, and he realizes he's not on the front page, and it's just the doctor who gets killed by a freak accident, which obviously we all know. And so he's like, okay, I'm not on the first page, but let's read on. So it turns out he's there are some reviews that were not nice about Clayface and how he's not a great actor and his show stinks. So he decides he's going to go to the top of the Daily Planet and talks with the head editor, who doesn't want anything to do with him at all. So Clayface comes up with the idea of going, I now know, I'll just take your place. And so kidnaps him, and then begins to write his own um, editorial about how great of an actor he is. And so Bane shows up, and Bane is talking with Clayface, and Bane decides or offers up the idea of him writing the editorial for Clayface. And Clayface is like, perfect, I'll tell you exactly what to write, but write it in your own words, except for exactly what I say. And goes on to talk about how great he is. And then Bane, because he's using a typewriter, gives the paper to Clayface and is like, don't you want to review it first? And he's like, no, I already lived it, so I know it's good. So he transforms and shapeshifts himself into the head editor, goes into the Daily Planet and proclaims how Bane is the greatest editorial edit. Creates the best report of all about the greatest actor of Clayface, and he says everyone should be working on stuff that similar to what Bane is talking about, and that should be your number one priority. So Clayface goes into his office, where Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen, Jimmy Olsen, go into the office to try to talk to the head editor, who is they don't realize is Clayface, and they're like, "Hey, like we got this story to tell. Like we need to talk about it like immediately. Like people are saying that they're seeing this skull, like an unidentified flying object going over Metropolis, and the fact that people are like having nightmares about this skull ship. Like clearly something's going on in Metropolis, and we need to figure it out." And Clayface is like, I don't really care. Go right ahead and do what you need to do. But remember, we must be focusing on Clayface and the Alanos are the arts, as they're the most important part of Metropolis. And, they're both weirded out by it, but at the same time, they're not noticing that their editor is acting a little bit different. And then she finds out that Bane is going to be the head reporter and that they're going to be sharing a cubicle, and she's not happy with that. So let's get back to the main plot of the episode. So the main plot is Harley Quinn gets ticked off with Poison Ivy because Poison Ivy kept a secret from her. And Harley Quinn does not do well when she doesn't know everything. So she finds out, obviously, that Poison Ivy killed the doctor. And she's like, why wouldn't you tell me? She's like, well, I didn't want you to worry. She goes, no, come on. You know I love to worry. You know I love this stuff. And so they begin to talk and everything else. And Poison Ivy is having these nightmares of the like this yellow goo that's kind of going around, and it seems like something's trying to I don't want to say corrupt her, but like torture her from the inside. So she's like, no, there's no way. Like obviously he's dead. Like I'm not worried about it. So Poison Ivy sees the report and she's like, oh great. She goes, they're calling me a freak accident, and Harley Quinn does not like that whatsoever. Um, so they begin to not drift apart because that's not the right word I want to use, but Harley Quinn kind of like shoves it to the side and it's like fine, whatever. And so Poison Ivy goes to the school and starts teaching about the Green Initiative for Metropolis, and she's kind of exhausted and everything else. So she's not doing the best. Harley Quinn shows up to be a supportive girlfriend. Um, and Poison Ivy's finally like, "Fine, we're good, everyone. Let's get out of here." And Poison Ivy decides to meditate into the green to try to get some rest. So she meditates in the green, where she gets attacked by none other than the Floronic Man, who she realizes is the doctor that she killed, or she thought she killed. And apparently he's stronger than her, so it looks. So the two of them begin to attack each other in the green, and Poison Ivy's not doing all that well. So Harley Quinn shows up, sees that Harley Quinn's not doing well, and is trying to figure out who does she know that could get in and help Poison Ivy. Well, she calls Frank. So Frank realizes it's Harley Quinn, answers the phone, and he's like, "All right, hold on, let me see what's going on." So he goes into the green, sees what's going on, comes back out, and tells Harley Quinn, "Hey, you need to figure out where this guy is, or there's some weird guy that looks like a tree that's calling himself the Floronic Man, and there's some guy in there who's trying to kill her." And she's like, "Oh, that must be the doctor." And he's like, "Well, then you better figure out where he is, his real body, because I'll hold him off with Poison Ivy, and then you deal with that." And she's like, "Okay, I got it." So she goes on the lookout for the doctor's body, while Poison Ivy and Frank are dealing with the Floronic Man. And the two of them make jokes about how the Floronic Man is a dumb name. And he is doing a lot of damage to both Frank and Poison Ivy. Right when he's about to do the final kill, after Harley Quinn's gone through multiple labs, one of which was about sexual completion. I forgot what the other one was. There was a second one that I can't remember what it was, and the third one she thought was another lab for sex, and they're like, "No, no, we're just having regular sex." And she's like, "Oh, I miss grad school." And then she goes to the other lab and sees the doctor there, lying there, obviously connected into the green. So she pulls out a saw and starts cutting him up. So he, in the green, starts getting chopped up as well. He then leaves the green and tries to attack Harley Quinn. It does not go well, and she just slices his head off and then slices his head in half. And the assumption is he's dead. Poison Ivy, she runs to go find Poison Ivy, who's bleeding as well. And the two of them are like, "No, he's gone. We're good." So they go to leave, and that's when they get surrounded by um, Brainiac's security droids. So they're like, "Wait, we've stopped the issue. Like we're good. Like we're good." And they're not listening. And then they scam the two of them, and they get teleported into a prison cell looking thing on Brainiac's ship. And Brainiac is like, "Great, now what are we going to do with them?" Um, and that's how the episode ends. So next episode, we're going to see how Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy get themselves out of prison from Brainiac or spends the whole time in prison. I'm not quite sure, but we're definitely going to be seeing more Brainiac now, mostly due to the fact that they're now captured by Brainiac, whether they know it or not. But yeah, so overall, I thought this episode was decent. I mean, seeing the Floronic Man was interesting. It was an interesting concept. Love seeing Poison Ivy trying to fight her demons. That doesn't always go well. But overall, I thought this was a decent episode. I'm looking forward to seeing where the rest of this goes, and what's going to happen on the ship. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you not? And why? And as always, if you like the content you see, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. Other than that, this is going to be Beastly Eel signing out. Have a wonderful night. Bye bye.